Okay, we're recording. Welcome everybody who's listening or watching the recording. We just checked in, which I make a habit of sparing everyone who's on the recording from listening to. And Glenn, I'm going to turn it over to you. I think you and Poison have something planned, even if Poison doesn't know what it is.
Thank you and welcome, men. Today's talk is going to be about open circles, and who this is pointed to are those of you that may be broaching the open circles for the first time, looking for things beyond the protocols. So what I'd like to do today is talk about the energetics. I think on our weekends and all of our protocols, there are three parts. There's the protocol itself, that is what you do. You stick to the protocol. And then there's an energetic and a context that goes with those protocols. And I would urge you to look at this open circle as being in role. Now, I'm talking about pretending, but I am saying being in role and looking at the energetic and the context in which, and I'm going to shift the emphasis, not for what necessarily you do, although we will cover those things, but it'll be, what do you want to see? What is it that you want to see and experience yourself? Because I think if you aim towards that, that will translate into those that are visiting with you. I've asked Boyson to join us, and I'll ask Boyson as well if he agrees with this approach to say, let's not say so much about what we do as about how we do it and what we like to how we like to show up in these containers, so that those men that are especially experiencing this for the first time or just broaching into this have a little more sense of how they're coming across. Are we all good with that?
So you're pointing this then, Glenn, if I understand it, at open circles, other places where we're encountering men who have not gone through the training, or men who come to iGroup who haven't gone through the training and like that. Am I right?
That's correct. I'll say whenever we are presenting ourselves or demonstrating what it is that we possess, do, have, and want to impart, this is the nuance that I believe that everyone picks up on. This is where the bullshit meter goes off. This is where, are you professionals? Are you sloppy? Do you have it together? Consciousness around all that. So I'd like to focus somewhat and ask for your inputs on this as well. So this is not going to be a lecture. I'm going to ask for feedback. All right, everybody?
Great.
Thank you. So I'll begin. So with that, you've scheduled yourself an open circle. I think Boyson has done a wonderful job of chronicling how to set it up and what to do. And last time we covered some of the logistic pieces. Let's talk about what you want to see in two arenas, one from your staff and another from your participants. So let's begin with that. Men are walking in the door. Boyson, I'll ask you, what do you want to see as men are coming in the door, in the room, amongst your staff, and those that are coming in? What do you want to see?
What do I want to see?
Yeah.
As a participant or as a staff guy?
As a staff guy.
I want to see other men around the room. I want to see conversation happen. I want to see a welcoming environment. And I want to see somebody immediately there to greet. Like, AA meetings, there's always a greeter as an official role. So somebody is there, say, hey, hi, I'm Boyson. What's your name? Da, 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 da. Oh, this is Rob, this da, 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 and that kind of conversation. Also, I want to see an environment that is that's not full of sage smoke or weird woo-woo stuff, so that a man feels like he's walking into a welcoming environment, even if he has no experience with what we do.
And then what would you say as a participant? If you were experiencing something like this walking in, what do you want to see, feel?
What I don't want to see energetically is stuff that's going to weird me out right from the get-go. Right?
So, like, what would that be, boys?
You
mentioned sage smoke. What else?
Sage smoke. That dude standing over there in nothing but a pair of shorts. Those two guys, a lot of contact. So for, out there in the world, there's some level at which we're trying to create an environment where we're not immediately shocking a guy. walking in the door.
So no talismans.
No, we don't ever wear talismans at our open men's groups. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. There's
Hey,
no
just
obvious.
as an aside, Lonnie Hamilton, who's the new head man of the LKS, mentioned something at the face-to-face that I thought was great, because he would occasionally smudge the room and it would be very light. And he said that when he's Native American, and when Native Americans use smudge, they use very little. He says, I don't understand you guys. You make these huge clouds of sage. So, you know, that's kind of worth remembering. Hi, George. You want to check in? George Winechase, you want to check in? You want to, but we can't hear you. All right, we'll leave you to try it now. And he's not. Okay, we'll leave you to get that sorted out. We see that you're here, and I'm going to say that you're checking in, confused about why your sound isn't working. Okay, so, please keep going, Glenn.
So this is Glenn, and what I want to see as a leader and a lead facilitator is I want to see order. I want to see a room that's orderly. I want to see it set up properly, and I want to see men designated in certain arenas. I want a man at this sign-in desk. I want another man or two positioning already in the chairs. I want to see my staff focusing on the participants, those that are coming in, not exclusively, but to not be engaged so deeply in their own interactions that they are ignoring those around them. I would like to see somebody, if there's a entranceway near the front door or parking, to usher people through, and that can show them where the facilities are. And so these are ushers and helpers, and they have these men stationed so that it appears to have the order, and that men know what they're doing, and it's not about chaos, right? And so we're prepared. Think about staging a home if you're going to sell it. Think about going to a well-organized meeting, and it's not stiff, but it is orderly. So I want to see that.
Glenn, if I could just interject something here, you're pointing to something that I think is really important, and I think it was what you were alluding to when you started talking about the difference between the protocols and the energy. We have certain things we do in iGroup, in an NWTA, even in a gathering like the face-to-face, that we take for granted. We check in. And we take for granted how we check in. We say aho. We smudge. None of those are central to what we do. None of those are what men are coming to an open circle for. They're coming to an open circle because whether they can articulate it this way or not, the idea of men sitting in circle, the idea of men's work called to them. And anything we do that's not explained, like I would explain why we're doing a check-in, or anything we do that's not obvious to them how that relates to what brought them there, which is men's work, is going to get in the way. Would you say that's accurate?
I would definitely say that's accurate. It's ancillary to what you're trying to demonstrate. Mm-hmm. And I'll call this more of a demonstration. How do we conduct ourselves when men are entering our space? And I'll go further as a participant. If I walk in a place, I think friendliness is wonderful, and politeness, courtesy, and short. Hello, welcome. Have you come for the men's open circle tonight? Terrific. Thanks for being here. Let me show you to the next man. So the washrooms are here. We'll be meeting in the room. We're starting right at 7 o'clock. Thanks for coming. If you find a place to park, wonderful. Matter of fact, you're doing your job, on to the next man. That's all. Don't over-celebrate, and please do not ignore this. I want to be engaged in a limited, semi-professional, direct way. Hello, welcome. Are you here for the men's open circle? Terrific, you're just on time. It's through that area there. Go see that man, and washrooms are here. Thanks for coming. Are you expecting anybody? Should I keep an eye out? Thank you. Walk, get him in the door.
Or are you meeting anybody, and can I help you find them?
Can I help you find them? Has somebody invited you in particular? Thank you. and just be about business in a courteous, professional way. And like Boyson said, I think your appearance does matter. So you don't want to overdress or underdress. But I like to see men in collars myself, at least a collared shirt, but that's me. Boyson, anything to add to that?
Interestingly, what you just said at the very end begs a question for me. Are we talking about an open circle, or are we talking about an open men's group? Are we talking about, because there's a distinction there. You're kind of talking about an event, yeah?
Well, open circle being treated as an event. Yeah.
Event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But by event, you mean something that's a one-off. It's not part of an ongoing circle, right, Boyson?
As a regular, what I think Glenn's talking about, and he'll correct me, is this is a regularly occurring event that he's doing that's facilitated. And there is some distinction there between that and, for example, my open men's group, which has been first and third Wednesdays of every month for the last 5 years. So I don't think about whether I'm wearing a collared shirt or not, but I do think about whether I, showered today.
So this is Glenn, and let's stick with the open circles because I think they may be slightly different contexts, to be in. And at this point, I'm more concerned about those men that want to do outreach in the form of open circles, where the majority of people will be there for the first time.
There you go.
So let's keep it in that arena, and like you might do a homecoming. If you know how you set up a homecoming, and you have someone at your desk, and maybe you have ushers, you have seats up, you have folks helping, and this is representative of how we treat visitors. So thank you for that. Right,
Glenn, let me interrupt you for a second. Who's on 805? 805 area code. 805.
Ken Fry. Ken Fry.
Check in, would
Thank
you please?
you, Ed.
Check in.
Ken Fry, OWL, Santa Barbara Enrollment Coordinator, checking in with a lot of excitement. We've got an upcoming training, October, a Young Warrior training, and co-enrolling that with LA. Very excited. And we got some circles of men that are coming up, and I'm taking point on those.
And
so
you're
in with all that
co-enrolling
energy.
with NorCal, too.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, this is news first to me. That's huge. Fantastic.
Great.
Love that. All right, so I'm in. Aho.
Thank you. Go ahead, Glenn. Glenn, since you're interrupted anyhow, let me ask you a question. What about refreshments?
Absolutely. If you can have, I'd just like to have water, bottled water. I think that's fine. If you have a coffee pot, terrific. But bottled water, even if it spills because you're visiting somewhere, I would prefer to see you have a case of bottled water sitting there and a trash bucket.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Or if you're in New England, we don't want bottles around, but we do have our bubbler in the other room.
There you go. There you go.
Echo the same thing from Oregon.
Yes, thank you.
Bottled water.
So how I'd like to proceed is this idea of energetically going through the rounds. And what is it that the participant and you want your staff to look like, experience? So you're approaching the hour. I would also like you to consider how you stage your open circle. I like to position myself so I have eyes on the door. I like to, or in the north. I think for me, energetically, I like that. And I'd like to have sitting directly to my left another warrior. So as we model, demonstrate a round, I will take lead, and it'll be duplicated very similarly by a warrior, and then 2 or 3, 4 spaces, another warrior, maybe directly across from you. Reasons for that. If I see somebody at the door, I will ask the man on my left to assist me. Go get the door. Go usher that man in if he's late. I'll ask that man on my left to mirror the way I work, and we'll talk a little bit that, because you might also be a mentee. So let's pause for a moment, not rush through this, and talk about that. How do you like to stage your room, Boyson, and your circle?
In our circle, often staged similarly. Often, and for us, there's more warriors in the room, so it's usually we try and break up the new guys, first-time participants, so that they're scattered amongst us. But yeah, having a string of new warriors who, as we're going through the rounds, will be able to model going through, and then having somebody right by the door. And we do this without talking or thinking about it in any way. Somebody's by the door to catch the new man who's walking in late.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So does everybody understand this way of staging the room? Any questions about that?
Yeah, Glenn, say what the energy is that your group, your team is embodying in this whole process, starting with, maybe even a man outside helping with parking, somebody at the door, somebody at a registration table, etc. What's the energy you're embodying for the guests? What do you want them to get from this?
So what I want them to see is order. And what I want them to be able to do is distinguish those that are part of the organization energetically from those that may otherwise be visitors. And I think that's demonstrated by your competencies.
Mm-hmm. I think you're also embodying certainty. In other words, if you think men are trained not to show it, but you go into a new place, a strange place, and there's always a little fear and a little like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. And you're providing the comfort that comes with certainty. It's not really different. Well, it is different in this regard. It's not a descent like the greeting, but it's not really different from the greeting. Once a man arrives at the NWTA, he has the feeling like he's in good hands.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, men, as I thought about putting together my open circles, I really treat these in a way like little mini NWTAs. We are Enroll. Right? And we're there to demonstrate and provide a container. So do it consciously. Boyson, do you want to add anything else about that? How you set the container before anything is even said?
What you just said, Ed, about dissent. I hope that a guy who's walking into an open men's group or an open circle gets a taste of dissent, but not then. Not when he's walking in the door. Right? So think about registration table at the NWTA, right? The dissent doesn't start until a little bit later.
Right.
That's all.
Very good. Very good.
Right.
So let's talk about the rounds, Glenn.
Okay. So we have Boyson's laid out a lot of good introduction and rules and such. And what I believe where the work really begins is when I like to show a command by instructing the men to, okay, men, we're going to begin. We'll be done by 2 hours. Men, if you would, please, feet on the floor, flat. There's something about establishing yourself as the leader and giving instruction that brings order. All right, so men, put your head on the floor, feet on the floor. What I'm going to ask you to do is you have a way to quiet yourself. We're going to take a couple minutes out to separate ourselves from the outside world, or whatever it is you use, a meditation or whatever, quietly for just a few minutes. So whatever you do to relax, breathe for the next 2 minutes. Thank you, men. Take charge that you are the leader. Take charge of the group. And by giving them an instruction, whether it's stand up, feet on the floor, it establishes your place. Boyson, what exercise do you use or structure do you use to assert this placement of who is who in the group? How do you do it?
I get a little bit of a ripple when you say assert, and it's a similar process. So we do the same. We introduce. I introduce myself. We start by describing what the outside check-in is. We do an outside check-in. I just posted the link to the Open Circle workbook for an open men's group. And then, yes, we do a body-centered exercise, body-centered meditation. And again, energetics may be different in New England. Energetics may be different for you, but it's all about invitation. So who's speaking is demonstrating some level of leadership. Mm-hmm. And energetically for us, it's really about, welcome and present I am welcoming, I am present.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So every leadership style is somewhat different, but in some way you do establish who's going to be running the show tonight in some way. So choose your words, choose your energy, choose your linguistic choice, but someone establishes themselves that way. So round one, we get into the introductions to get to know each other. I like to use the metaphor of the mask. So I say, and all my rounds really have kind of two layers. You don't have to do it this way, but this is a suggestion because it works for me. So I model it. So men, I going to invite you all to, if you can, pull off the mask. And what is the mask? The mask is the persona, the way I want you to see me. So that is a competent, certain kind of man that has a certain way of functioning in the world, and it's necessary, and I use it. But there's also another man behind that mask. And so what I'm going to demonstrate for you is to take off my mask and let you see a little bit about who is the other man inside. So metaphorically, take it off, put it down, and say, so the mask is the man that's competent, and he's careful, and he's thoughtful, and he's strong, and that's that guy. And the guy behind the mask is a man. Now, everyone can do that front part pretty similarly. Here's what I'm going to pause for a moment and ask: if you are sharing stories about your inner man behind the mask, see if you can help yourself and train your staff to go with one thing. It's easy to get into life story here. One incident in your life that was impactful and changed your life. My parents were divorced. I was separated from my father for a long, long time. It set me up to do this, and my work has been around getting myself to feel competent or worthy in these areas. And that's the man behind the mask that you might not ever come to know. So thank you. And pause for a moment and say, turn to the man on your left and say, and who are you? Or who are you? And if he demonstrates the same thing, by the time you're done 2 or 3 men like that, everybody else gets it. Pause. Oysten, maybe you'll chime in on this. How do you do that icebreaker? First round, I do it 2 stages. The man, then the man inside. How do you do it, Boyson?
Nice. This is also open men's protocol, outside check-in, inside check-in. So we run an outside check-in and we actually say, is our elevator speech. This is our little thing. Mm-hmm. And then after doing the meditation, a check-in grounding exercise, then the invitation is to go a little deeper. So underneath that elevator speech, underneath what I told you, now I'm going to tell you something deeper, and the invitation is for you and each of us to check in a little deeper.
You do that in 1 round or 2, Boyson?
2 rounds. Yep.
So I combine those as one, Boyson breaks them up as 2, and they both seem to work. So, but I think the overall energy is the same. This is a little more lover energy. I'm going to open up a little bit and make myself vulnerable, and we are there to demonstrate that. This is a courage piece. I lean a little more on courage than I do vulnerability, although you may see them as the same. I think when men are courageous, they become vulnerable. They can be vulnerable. But that's me. So are we agreed? Everyone sees that it's basically a 2-part opening up and that first encounter with most men. Any questions around that?
Not a question, but a comment. I love, in either way you do it, I love that we're not easing men into it. We're making it very clear that men's work is about vulnerability. It's about revealing yourself. And it's about that this is not about who we present ourselves to be like a mask. This is about who we really are. That's really excellent. Who's 314?
That's me, Randall Schelling, St. Louis Community.
Oh, okay, you must have dropped off and come back on. Got it. Thanks, Randall.
Correct.
So you see why I call it a demonstration. Men, demonstrate how you can unmask and become vulnerable and expose yourself. And you could do it without being crushed or crumbled or out of pure shame. You can do it because you've practiced it. That's, I think, showing that courage emboldens the others. So I think it's also a little easier for men to visitors to track along with you emotionally if you can do it so candidly, not glibly, but easily. Take it off and expose yourself in such a way that isn't necessarily shame-based or warrior-based. It is because we have the training, right? And we will take that risk. We will show that courage. Anybody else have a practice like this that works very well? Please share it with the group now.
No, I just think that it's critical to model it really well, because it, as you know, the people drop in deeper as you go around, and so if it's not the leader, a staff man who can model that in a very genuine way, that's just so powerful.
And I would practice it, Greg, for just that reason. You don't have to say exactly what you practiced, but I would sit down with my initiated men beforehand and do a couple of rounds of that, so that it's, you're not kind of falling into it right there. It needs to be real, but it needs to be practiced and polished, I believe.
So what I want to see from my staff is I want to see them practiced in this regard, just like Ed said, meaning we don't go into life story and we're not selling MKP. You don't end up, that's why I came to MKP. No, stop. Have men understand there's one incident that impacted your life, and that's the piece you're working on, right? One. Take off your mask, talk about that one piece, how it impacted your life. Next man. Can we close this section then?
Yeah, I want to make sure we get to all of them, Glenn, and we've only got about a half hour left.
Right. All right. Let's pick up the pace. So why are you here? To me, this is an exploration to get to the man's why. Right? So on the second round of Open Circles is, why are you here? And this starts to go a little deeper, right? And so hopefully once the man's exposed that inner man, somebody he can get to a place of saying, there's always two levels to that here. One is, hey, I'm the center director, and this is my job, and this is what I do. Beyond that is I have a need and a gift. I have a gift to give and a need. So I think it's a gift and a need is a good way to think about that. And it's kind of two parts. There's the surface. Hey, my buddy invited me. Two, is there another? Right? Of course, any men can pass, but it also gives them a place to go out or go in. Right? If you kind of set it up that way. So you demonstrate. I have two parts to that. I'm here because I'm obligated to do this. I look forward to do this. It's my job to do this. I've committed myself to this. And what I hope to be able to give is a gift, and what I hope to be able to receive is the kind of mirroring that I have in my own life. So two parts. Boyson, would you want to hit on the why are you here kind of arena, or anybody else energetically?
I'll step into that. This is Randall Filling in St. Louis. Energetically, perhaps it's implicit rather than explicit. It's always in my mind, what has brought the man to our circle? Mm-hmm. Many of our referrals come from psychotherapists in the St. Louis area, and the question is, what's the pain that this man may be experiencing that's greater, that causes him to overcome the pain of walking into a new unknown situation? Mm-hmm. So perhaps it's curiosity, perhaps it's pain or distress. My purpose is to see the man individually and to really listen to see what it is that he brings to the circle and what his needs may be.
Terrific. And a little coaching around that, everybody. I don't care what a man says in the circle, unless he's talking about killing himself. I don't raise an eyebrow. There's something about a man telling you some things, and here he can start to go into his heart. You can see him drop. No matter what he says, it's thank you. Was there more? Thank you. Are you complete? Thank you. Next man.
Glenn, it occurs to me that you haven't said anything about confidentiality. Do you set up any expectation in that regard, or do you not talk about it, or what?
Yes, Boyson has set up a whole set of rules, and I want to take the rules and protocols and logistics out of this conversation.
Okay,
to talk about
great.
The energetic. So,
yes. Great.
And what I would say, here's what I don't want to see in this round. I don't want to see any of my wonderful new warrior brothers start processing a guy the first time he exposes himself. So shut up and listen and be present for whatever's being said. This is not processing. This
Nope.
is
Very
welcome.
important.
Yeah,
Very
no rescues, no processing. You're running the circle. Then thank you. And if a man hits something very powerful, just use your hands and go,
Just hold it.
hold, wait. It's agonizing, I know, but just wait. Man, this is often where I'll say, men, that's what courage looks like. Thank you. You good? All right, next man.
Great.
All right? Take the opportunity to let the man go down and let him know he's safe. You're holding him. And you're holding a container so he can descend somewhat. And when his eyes come back up, this is when you know it might be time. Is there more? Is there more? Thank you. You complete? Good. Man. And move along. I let the man, hey, the guy next to him says, wow, this guy was able to say all that thing. The facilitator wasn't shocked or lost, or just, he held them. The group holds them. Thank you. That's what courage looks like, men. And when you bless a man just with a sentence like that, it emboldens the rest of the group. So watch for opportunities. Don't manufacture them, but you see a real risk taker in the group, you might want to pause and say, men, that's what courage looks like. Thank you. Next man. It's a wonderful piece and energetic. Boyson, how do you do that? When you've witnessed something, a man is starting to drop, even in that second round, how do you hold him? How do you walk through and reconstitute the group and get going again?
You said, I don't know that, and this is energetic difference between us. I don't know that I have ever said that's what courage looks like, but I've said thank you 100,000 times.
Yeah. I'm kind of big on the courage thing these days. You'll hear.
Yeah, you like that courage thing.
I like the courage thing.
Thank you. And that's it. And welcome it and keep. Yeah.
Next man. Any other comments on that? Anybody ever had experience where early on a man was more or less dropping on you in the middle of a container? How do you handle it? How do you hold him?
This is Randall, Northern California. I just want to mention we have open circles in our I group occasionally, and I have to remind the men in my I group not to say things like, "Oh, that's good," judgmental things after a guy opens up. "Oh, that's good, good work," those kinds of things, because it sets a tone that we can be judgmental, and I think it's important to follow what you're saying about being non-judgmental, just holding the space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So wonderful, man. Sometimes there's a break here at the end of the second round, or you go into accountability. When you do an accountability piece, I think that has to be somewhat rehearsed as well. If you know what you're going to do ahead of time, and do it with a warrior. I'd like to see, if we could, 2 quick accountability pieces done with warriors, and just walk through the steps like there's nothing to it, that the man can out himself and not get shamed or hurt, or there's no cruelty around it. It's simply a learning piece so that we can own the shadow part. You don't have to say so. Just say, we're going to demonstrate something for you. And I like to do 2 quick things with warriors, and then invite, if there's any men else in the room would like to give this a try, we're demonstrating how we do accountability here. Boyson, how do you set that up? And if you use that, and how does it work for you energetically?
We keep a much more, you'd recognize this from any I group in our group, is we do accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And something that we stopped doing about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we have a timer. We have a 2-minute timer on accountability in our circle. Mm-hmm. And that we set up the round as their intent here is to be very clean and crisp and move through accountability. So a man will model. And then if a guy wants to stop and process, if we walk a guy through through the steps, through the questions, it'll probably take more than 2 minutes. But I can tell you whether I'm in integrity or not. I can look at what I did instead. I can look at how it impacts me, how it impacts somebody else, and what I want to do about it, what's driving my behavior in 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No shame, no blame.
How do you set that up with uninitiated men who've never seen accountability before, probably never thought about it as anything other than blame? How do you set that up?
By modeling it that way, by setting context for the round.
That's what I want, is what's the context?
Yeah, the context. So now we're entering into our accountability round. Accountability round is when we declare things that we are doing, intending to do, stretching for in our lives, and we take responsibility in the circle for how we're doing. And this is what that looks like for me. And when we're processing each other, me processing another new warrior, it's just real, clean, crisp. And then there's always a difference in the energetic between, a guy who's showing up for the first time. It's about, what does accountability look like to you? What does integrity look like to you? And just providing, again, a space for that man to get vulnerable and share something about himself, even if it's not in our exact pattern for sharing.
Very good. Very good.
David?
My circle is open every week. So when we have a new man come in this accountability in particular, we take the time to explain it ahead of time. And something that was given to us by a leader emeritus was that accountability is about finding your truth. It's not about shame.
Right.
And we go through and model it, and we've got it down now where it reaches a certain point, like Boyson's group, where we say, all right, this is going into work. Do you want to take it into the work ground? Because it should be very short and clean.
Very good.
That's also common. Yeah, what's true is another very common question that we ask in our circle. So what's true about this? Very simple.
I often have men confused by integrity versus accountability, and it can get muddy, and especially for new men trying to sort that out. I often say that accountability is you've made an agreement with someone else. The integrity piece is more within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah,
good.
It is good. So, men, having this somewhat again, to me, you're demonstrating. Realize we're really not there doing work in an open circle environment. We're demonstrating what accountability looks like and how we handle it competently as an organization. This is wonderful. So you've demonstrated once again. Look where we've come. You've been able to talk about the secret part of yourself, right? You've opened up to your motivations for why this might have an interest to you, and now you see really a demonstration how a bit of shadow work is done. What is it that you're, again, not telling out loud or turning yourself in around? This is wonderful. Look how far we've come just this far. I think if you've demonstrated that so far, you've done a wonderful job. Can we move on?
Please.
Yep.
Okay. So now the round is, so essentially to me there's an energetic shift here because it goes to what do you need? Again, there's two parts. Well, I need air, water, this sort of thing. The second level of that is, to me, this is where if there's going to be any selling of MKP, it is because of what the need is and how it is helped by the group. So what I need are an environment like this where I can go to men, I can share, I can expose myself, I can be who I really am.
Hang on a second, Glenn. Randall Schilling, would you mute, please? We're getting an echo off your line.
I was on mute.
No, I guess it isn't you then.
I'm switching over to phone.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Glenn.
So my energetic for that round of what you need is for me to establish the appreciation for what we've just done. Actually, I can take off my mask and be myself, right? I can I can have needs that I need to have satisfied, and I can do the kind of work that allows me to be a better man and get the support I need. So what I need is this kind of space where I can do that when I can trust. So for me, what I need is, that's where I'm starting to reflect already on what MKP gives me about selling MKP. Boyson, how do you use that round? We lose Boyson?
No, he's on the phone.
No, I'm still here. I'm on the phone. Yeah, I think, and an acceptable answer here also in the first encounter with what do you need is I have no fucking idea, or some variation of that, which is a wonderful entry point.
Mm-hmm.
Like that might be a breakthrough for a man to say, here I am, this is the stuff that I've got going on. You've seen more of me than most of the people in my life in the last hour, and I have no idea what to do next. That's work.
That's the truth, and that's wonderful. Anybody, and thank you. I'll put it in Boyson's terms. Thank you. Next man, what do you need? Anybody else have had experience in this what you need arena? What does it mean to you energetically? What is it you want to see from your staff and the participants? Well, then give it some thought, because the staff, I want them to be forthcoming and, again, quick and brief yet very exact. This is why they're here. This is what they need, and this may be the way for me to be part of those things, getting what I need. That's the energetic. Last round. To me, it's a king round. It is about, and I stage it this way. So men, we spent an hour and a half together, and this has been wonderful. But this may be the toughest round of all. And that's an idea of blessing yourself for your gifts. So to demonstrate what it truly is your gifts are, I think is, I don't want to call it a performance piece, but if you know your gifts, I think you need to be able to articulate those, and that you have possession of your gifts. So I might say, so same thing, this might be tough for you, but let me try to help. I know when I came into this world, I was given something. I have not manufactured this. I was given this in me, and I'm learning to bring it out as my gift in the world. I'm a fire starter. I'm a guy that lights things up, and I love that. It seems to keep my torch lit, and I love starting things and launching ships, and this is a gift that I have, and it was given to me, and I love it. My switch is on. I love it. And I say, in my elder years now, was told I have another gift, and I'm starting to embrace it now, and that I'm a rainmaker. That means where I go, things are growing, and I find great joy out of seeing things, other people blossom, because I know that's not all about me now. So I take those two gifts and I hold them, and I say, I'm a fire starter and I'm a rainmaker, and those are my gifts. Next man, what are yours? Boyson, how do you set up your king round? How do you demonstrate that you have gifts? How do you do it? Model it.
Language that we frequently use is the blessing language. And what are you willing to bless and own in yourself? And it's simple enough. And men certainly have a hard time doing that. Mm-hmm. And something that you said just now, Glenn, reminded me, my gifts are things that my parents recognized in me by the time I could talk. So is there something in you that you're willing to own that's been you since you were real little, mm-hmm. that's beautiful, that you want to demonstrate, you want to talk about? That's a gift.
Yeah. And if it's somewhat different, some say, well, I'm a real people person. And yes, you can nod, yes, because now you're in a blessing place. It's not all just data, right? You as a facilitator are leaning in with a kindly eye, and a wonderful smile, and saying, yes, that is you, isn't it? Well done. Yes, I can see that. Can you hold that? Can you take possession of that and see that that's true? Wonderful. Well, man. It's a
Really.
blessing in the eyes. And leaning forward and smile. Anybody else do a good blessing round you'd like to see come out of you, out of your staff, and model for your participants? Please share now.
Yeah, there is one, which is and you've got to be willing to trust your intuition, to look at a man you don't know and see a quality in him that you can call out, especially if somebody's having trouble blessing themselves. To say, well, I've noticed since you've been here that there's a certain energy, there's a certain, that you've been really compassionate, whatever it is, and just trust your intuition because it's valid.
And maybe others have told you this, and you don't realize because it's natural to you. So when you're with people, this is the part of you that they enjoy, and it's because you're not thinking about it.
Right.
It's kind of just, who are you, and how do you like yourself the best? When you're what way? You really like who you are.
That's great. That's a great question. That's a fabulous question.
Yeah. Oh, I like it when I am a connector and I'm a good teacher. There you go.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Exactly.
There you go. Right.
So, man, this has been a master class in open circles. Glenn and Boysen, I just really want to acknowledge the thought and the heart and the discipline you've put into this, that it's not just get a bunch of guys together in a room. And Glenn, this has been this call and the last one have been a tremendous contribution to the enrollment coordinators. And I know there's only a handful of people on each call, but I know because I watch the hits that they get listened to. So for both you and Boysen, I really want to thank you for the gift of your giveaway, the gift of your teaching, and the gift of your commitment. And just know that it will make a difference in all the areas in MKP USA. So thank you.
You're most welcome. Glad to help. And I hope you'll have this recording now, and I'll make myself available. Give me a call. I'm glad to walk you through it.
Great. So let's check out, man. Boysen, picking up your daughter. Let's check out.
Boysen, Brother Raven, on my way to pick up my daughter Janelle from singing camp. How cool is that? Holy shit. Grateful. Fun dancing with you as usual, Glenn. And yeah, invite. I can't wait to be in circle tomorrow night. And I'm out.
Oh.
Randall Schilling.
Randall Schilling, St. Louis Community, checking out with excitement, a combination of both joy and fear as we step into the work to grow the project. Out.
Thank you. Ken Fry, check out.
Put me on the unmute.
Sorry? Ken, are you there?
Yeah, sorry about that. This is Ken Fry. Yeah, checking out with gratitude, and sorry I dropped you guys for a while. I was driving. Just want to say thank you to you men for modeling this open circle.
Randall Larson Maynard.
Yeah, Randall Lyons too, checking out. I'm grateful and got some sadness, but otherwise I'm grateful. Thank you. I'm out.
And a new animal name.
Yeah, new animal
Mazel tov. George Wine Chase, can we hear you? Still not. I'm lip reading. George is checking out with gratitude and a thumbs up. Thanks, George, for being here. Greg.
Yeah, Greg, Golden Eagle Northwest region, checking out, feeling a sense of connection and some hope. There's such a need for this out there, man. Thank you, each of you, for doing this work. It's so important these days. So thanks, Glenn and Boysen, both for your leadership, and Ed and all of you. Thanks for checking out of here with some joy.
Thanks, Greg. David Galvagno.
David, upstate New York, checking out, glad and re-energized. I'm out.
Oh, Glenn Barker, Chicago.
All right, Glenn Barker, Gorilla, checking out with joy. Thank you to Ed and all the men in the enrollment team for being open for these kinds of discussions. I think the energetic and the context does matter, and that's the nuance beyond the protocol. So, joy to be with you. Hope you found this useful. See you next time.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
And, Ed, Two Hearts, checking out Inspired. I'm actually going to schedule an open circle in Reno based on this call, and it's something I've been wanting to do, and I now feel like I have what I need to do it. And to all the men who are listening to the recording, thank you as well, and thank you for all the work you do. Okay, man, talk to you in a month.
Yep, so long.